love and greetings to each one of you. Welcome to this session on the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we will resume our study of the conch shells blown in Kurukshetra battle, which correspond to the inner vibratory battle that goes on in meditation. Slokas 12 to 19 of the first chapter refer to the conch shells blown in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The obvious interpretation of these slokas, for that matter other slokas of the Gita, is for the inspiration of the ordinary man. But the hidden metaphor, the deeper allegory, is for more serious practitioner of yoga science. In this book, God Talks with Arjuna, Paramahansa Yoganandaji gives the yogic interpretation as applied to a meditating yogi, a serious sadhak. It also gives the obvious meaning too. In addition to that, we get yogic interpretation in this valuable book, God Talks with Arjuna. The yogic interpretation of slokas 12 to 19 describes the inner psychological battle that is carried on in meditation through the vibratory sounds of the senses on the one side and the discriminative powers on the other. It is a battle wherein both the physical and astral sounds of the senses try to pull the consciousness of the devotee to the body, and the inner wondrous astral music of the discriminative powers and the vital activities of the spinal centers pull the consciousness of the devotee upwards to spirit, God. Well, this is a struggle. The inner vibratory battle is going on. The sounds, music inside. Now, for an ordinary man, who reads these explanations may wonder what is it all about. But those conscientious truth seekers who practice Raja Yoga principles, they know that these vibratory sounds are actually and distinctly heard in meditation. One more point. These astral sounds are relevant not only to Raja Yogis but also to devotees who try to attain interiorization, certain degree of pratyahara, either through meditation or through deep contemplation or devotional singing or chanting mantras or any other spiritual pursuit. They also go through this experience of vibratory sounds within. In the last session held 2 weeks ago, we studied slokas 12 to 16. For the sake of continuity, to pick up the thread, let us briefly review what we studied last time. The plain meaning of slokas 12 and 13 goes like this. Grandsire Bhishma, oldest and most powerful of the Kurus, with the purpose of cheering Duryodhana, blew his conch shell with the resounding lion's roar. Then suddenly, after Bhishma's first note, a great chorus from conch shells, kettle drums, tabors and cowhorn trumpets sounded from the side of the Kurus. The noise was terrific. The obvious meaning is simple. Bhishma, being the commander-in-chief of Kaurava forces, he blew his conch shell to signal the start of the Kurukshetra war. After his blowing the conch shell, other Kaurava warriors also blew their conches, kettle drums, tabors, drums and other things. The noise was terrific. But the yogic interpretation is this. When a devotee sits for meditation, the ego and the king material desire are worried. They are worried that this devotee is going beyond the clutches of Maya, and the king material desire may not be able to fulfill its wishes. Hence, the Bhishma, who represents ego blows the conch shell, means ego brings out the restless breath. That is the conch shell of Bhishma, ego, the restless breath. A restless breath always disturbs the stillness of meditation. And once there is restlessness of the breath, then the senses also disturb through various means. The physiological sounds coming from heartbeat, blood circulation, the movement of the diaphragm, all these physiological sounds also come to the fore, disturbing the quietness of meditation. The purpose of Kauravas is that somehow win the war. The purpose of senses, ego, is that to disturb the meditation of the devotee. That is what happens. Of course, we have to counter this by practicing some pranayama techniques, rather by approaching Pandavas, invoking Pandavas, to quieten the restless breath by practicing the techniques like Hangsa, Kriya Yoga. Then there is quietness. We get that quietness where we can go deep into meditation and contact that divinity within, that cosmic Om vibration within. Next, 14th sloka. The plain meaning is, then also Madhava, meaning Krishna, Pandava, Arjuna, seated in their grand chariot with its yoke of white horses, splendidly blew their celestial conch shells. In response to the conch shells of Bhishma and other Kaurava warriors, Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna blew their conch shells. That is the obvious meaning. Yogic interpretation goes like this. When the ego disturbs the breath during deep meditation, the soul again tries to revive the intuitive consciousness in the persevering devotee by sounding a series of astral vibrations and illumining the inner gaze with the divine light. Ego sends the restless breath to disturb the calmness, but the soul, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he revives that intuitive consciousness by sending a series of inner astral music emanating from various chakras. I mean, these vibrations coming from the chakras, they uplift the consciousness above the body consciousness to divine consciousness. But initially, it's Kauravas who started the game, but then Pandavas took over. Similarly, here, as soon as we sit in meditation, there is disturbance. But if we persevere, we are going to get to that calmness. It's like going through the disturbing waves near the seashore before you get the calmness of the mid-sea. Somehow you have to wade through the disturbing restless waves. Then we can get to the calm sheet of mid-ocean, stillness. So we have to persevere. Initially there are going to be disturbances in meditation, but eventually we will be able to go to that calmness if we persevere in our meditation. Paramahansa Yogananda ji explained clearly how the cosmic Om vibration is pervading the entire vibratory creation. He also has given meditation techniques to contract and experience that cosmic Om vibration. Om, the Pranava, is the mother of all sounds. Om is Nada Brahma, Adi Shabda. From there all sounds have come. Everything in this creation is a part of that Om. To understand this, also to understand the concept that Om is the bridge between human consciousness and divine consciousness. Om is the link between matter and spirit. We have to understand the concept of Om Tat Sat. What is Sat Tat Om? See, for God to exist, this creation did not exist. God is beyond the creation. He is the creator of the creation. So God, beyond and above creation, is Sat, the spirit Sat. He is above and beyond the creation. And for this creation to go on, there is God's intelligence reflected in this creation. That's how it's going on. And that God's intelligence reflected in this creation, behind this creation, is Tat, also known as Kutastha Chaitanya or Kutastha consciousness. Then this creation, physical manifestation of God, this creation is Om. This physical manifestation in this creation is Om. And God's intelligence behind this creation is Tat, Kutastha Chaitanya. And God beyond the creation is Sat, Sat Tat Om. Meditation on Om, that is trying to get in tune with cosmic vibration within ourselves and outside, within and without. That is the first step. In our meditation, we contact that Om. When we contact that Om, we are with that, we are merged in that cosmic Om vibration pervading all creation. then deeper meditation takes us one step further, that is in touch, we get in touch with that Kutastha Chaitanya, Tat, in this creation. And further sadhana takes us beyond this creation, that is Sat. That is how Om is the link between matter and spirit. We contact Om in meditation, and then we contact Kutastha Chaitanya and Kutastha consciousness, and then cosmic consciousness, God. That's how we go. Now, before we take up the next slokas, we will sing a cosmic chant given by Paramahansa Yogananda ji. I am Om, omnipresence I am Om, all pervading I am Om, all blessed I am Om. After singing the chant, we meditate for a little while and then resume our study of the next slokas.
Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Om Om, Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, Om, come to me, oh come to me, Om, come to me, to me, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Ayam Om, Om Ayam Om, Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, omnipresence Ayam Om, all pervading Ayam Om, all blessed Ayam Om, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ ओम, सब में समाया मैं हूँ ओम, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ ओम, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ ओम, सब में समाया मैं हूँ ओम, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ ओम, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ। ओम ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन, ओम ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन दो दर्शन दो। मैं हूँ ओम, मैं हूँ ओम, मैं ओम, मैं हूँ ओम, ओम ओम मैं हूँ, ओम ओम मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ। ओम ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन दो दर्शन दो, ओम ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन दो दर्शन दो। मैं हूँ ओम, मैं हूँ ओम, मैं हूँ ओम, मैं हूँ ओम, ओम ओम मैं हूँ, ओम ओम मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ। ओम ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन दो दर्शन, ओम ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन दो दर्शन दो। मैं हूँ ओम, मैं हूँ ओम, मैं ओम ओम मैं हूँ, ओम ओम मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ, सर्वव्यापी मैं हूँ, सब में समाया मैं हूँ, परम पवित्र मैं हूँ। ओम दर्शन दो दर्शन दो।
Let's take up the slokas 15 and 16. I request Swami Vasudevananji to sing the slokas 15 and 16.
पांच जन्यम ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्ख भीमकर्मावृकोदरः अनन्तविजयं राजा कुन्तीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सहदेवश्च सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्ख भीमकर्मावृकोदरः अनन्तविजयं राजा कुन्तीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सहदेवश्च सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ.
The plain translation reads, Hrishikesha blew his Panchajanya, Dhananjaya his Devadatta, and Vrikodara of terrible deeds blew his conch Poundra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his Ananta Vijaya. Nakula and Sahadeva blew respectively their Sughosha and Manipushpaka. In these slokas, reference is made to the specific vibratory sounds the meditating devotee hears emanating from specific chakras in the spine. We go into the details. For instance, Sahadeva, he blew his conch shell Manipushpaka. Manipushpaka means that which becomes manifest by its sound. It represents the earth element in the coxal central Mooladhara chakra. The devotee concentrating on this chakra, or when this chakra is awakened, he hears the sound as that of a honey mad bee, bumblebee, that type of bee sound he hears when he concentrates on this chakra or Mooladhara is awakened. That is one part. That sound, here Om vibration is manifesting as the sound of bumblebee. At the same time, there is some change in his consciousness. The devotee then wonders doubtfully whether this sound is a bodily vibration or an astral sound. This state of concentration is therefore called Savitarka Samprajnata Samadhi. Savitarka, the doubt-ridden state of inner absorption. Here, doubt means not normal doubt. It's a reverential doubt. Is God manifesting to me now? Is Om vibration manifesting to me now as the sound of bumblebee? That kind of reverential questioning from the mind. This center is the abode of the interiorized meditational mind in its very first stage. The Savitarka Samprajnata Samadhi. Then Nakula, he blew his conch named Sughosha. Sughosha means that which sounds clearly and sweetly. Sughosha, that which sounds clearly and sweetly. It represents the water element in the Swadhisthana chakra, sacral center. When devotee concentrating on this center, or when this Swadhisthana is awakened, his consciousness is lifted from the doubting state of mind to a surer, more discriminating state, and he listens to a higher astral sound, that of a flute sound he hears, higher astral sound. The doubting ceases and his intellect begins to analyze the sound. Intellect, savichara state. This state is called savichara sampragnata samadhi, or the intellectual reason guided state of inner absorption. Savichara, inner absorption, from doubt to intellect. Then Arjuna blew his conch Devadatta. Devadatta means that which gives joy. It represents the fire element in the lumbar center, Manipura. The devotee concentrating on this chakra listens the astral music as that of a veena, stringed instrument, veena or harp. Here the consciousness changes further from the state of, he attains the state of perceptive self-realization, in which clear perception of the sound and its true nature produces a joy-permeated feeling of inner absorption, or sananda sampragnata samadhi. Here there is ananda, more joy has come here. Doubt, then intellect, and then feeling. Then Bhima, his conch is known as Poundra. Poundra means that which disintegrates the lower states. He represents the air or life force in Anahata chakra, dorsal center. The devotee concentrating on this center hears the Om, the symbol of God, as a deep, long drawn gong bell. Gong bell he hears. As Poundra means that which disintegrates the lower states, when this chakra is awakened, the consciousness, the three lower states are disintegrated: doubt, that is mind, intellect, and then feeling, they are overcome, and now comes into this intuitive inner bliss absorption. This state is called Sasmita Sampragnata Samadhi, one step above. And then Yudhishthira, his conch shell is known as Ananta Vijaya, that which conquers infinity. Ananta Vijaya, infinity conquered. It represents the ether element in the cervical Visuddha chakra. The devotee concentrating at this center hears the eternity controlling, infinity spreading cosmic sound of the all pervasive etheric vibration of Om, whose sound is like thunder or the roar of a distant mighty ocean. Ocean roar he hears here at Visuddha. And there is an upward change of the consciousness too. Here the preceding states of mental, intellectual, perceptive and egoistic states have been dissolved, giving rise to a deeper state of pure intuitive perception of limitless bliss. Limitless bliss, pure intuitive perception. This state is called Asampragnata Samadhi. That is the next state. Now, at this stage, not only senses are conquered, Jitendra, the doubt is conquered, mind, and then intellect, and then feeling, and then the ego, they are all subdued and intuition reigns. Intuition reigns. That means the devotee's I-ness or sense of individual existence has been transcendented. His consciousness identifies with the etheric vibration of Om in all space, expanding from the little body to infinity. His blissful consciousness embraces omnipresence. So that's the state. Now comes Bhagavan Sri Krishna. He blew his conch shell known as Panchajanya. Panchajanya literally means that which generates the 5 tattvas, the 5 elements. Here the sound heard is a mixture of all these 5 sounds of the 5 lower chakras: bumblebee, flute, veena, gong bell, ocean roar, all this, a symphony of all these, a mixture of all these sounds are heard in the united medullary and kutastha center. These 2 centers are together, positive and negative states together. There it is heard, the mixture, symphony of this. That is the meaning of Bhagavan Sri Krishna blowing Panchajanya, Shankha. And here the consciousness goes further up. The devotee enjoys a greater Savikalpa Samadhi. Earlier it was Samprajnata Samadhi. Now it is Savikalpa Samadhi. When the devotee attains cosmic consciousness, further development, then from Sahasrara he gets established in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is the ultimate Sahasrara. So that's how, the progression, each one emanating a particular sound vibration, felt or experienced in meditation, one by one, like that. Now I request Swami Vasudevananji to sing the next 2 slokas, 17 and 18.
काश्यस्य परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः धृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्च पराजितः द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथ्वीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहु शङ्खान् दद्मुः पृथक् पृथक् काश्यस्य परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः धृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्च पराजितः द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथ्वीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहु शङ्खान् दद्मुः पृथक् पृथक्.
The plain translation goes like this: the king of Kashi, excellent archer; Shikhandi, the great warrior; Drishtadyumna, Virata, the invincible Satyaki; Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their own conches, O Lord of earth. In these 2 Gita slokas are mentioned the warriors who were present and blew their conches, who are supporting Pandavas. Panchapandavas we just discussed. Now these are the warriors who are there on the battlefield in order to support the cause of Pandavas. Like Drishtadyumna, Drupada, Virata, Abhimanyu, sons of Draupadi, Sikandi, etc. So they are also positive traits in us. They represent positive traits. And these divine warriors, following the lead of Krishna and the 5 Pandavas, sound their respective conches. Yogic interpretation. These are the supportive nadis or astral nerve currents, conductors of life energy, whose vibratory activities also produce characteristic sounds. That means the astral wondrous music comes not only from the chakras in the spine and medulla, but also from these other nadis, the astral nerve currents, the centers of life energy. They also produce this astral music. And they being the Kaurava, Pandava warriors, our good tendencies, they are also very melodious, uplifting astral music which uplifts our consciousness towards spirit. All these vibrations during meditation are turned Godward to spiritualize the whole body and mind and draw the consciousness inward toward self-realization. What happens normally? The consciousness always goes downward and outward, along the spine and through chakras, outward to the body consciousness, downward and outward to the body consciousness. But in meditation, the life force is pulled inward and upward. That is the reversal of the flow of energy. In the process, these nadis, they produce this wondrous astral music which lifts the consciousness of a meditating devotee inward and upward towards self-realization. That is the reason. In addition to meditation, we also cultivate the other Pandava warriors, meaning other good qualities, good behavior, good thoughts, good actions, all these things like devotion, dispassion, ecstasy, yama, niyama, all these good qualities when we are practicing in daily life, in meditation also we feel the effect. We feel the effect. These are the nadis. They generate positive vibrations. Now there is one question. In meditation, I may not hear these distinct sounds, flute, gong bell, ocean roar, all these things which are described here, I may not hear. What is happening? Why I am not hearing? Why they are not so distinctly heard? But take heart. You may not be hearing, but they are still there. I will give an example. Suppose you visit a factory. In the factory, you go to the workshop where machines are working, producing the products. That sound will be completely different, very specific to the workshop. These are sounds that normally produced in workshop, lathe machines, milling machines and welding, this, that, etc. all these. The sounds are very peculiar to that workshop. Then you move to assembly section where the products that are produced have been assembled to make the final product. Here the sounds are tick, 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 tick. The sounds are very different here. These sounds characteristic of assembly section. Then you go to dispatch section where the products are sent out. There, dham, dhoom, this, that, loading trucks onto trucks, this, that, moving forks, this. That sound is completely different. Then you come to office. Printers and computers and telephones is these completely different sounds, computer sound, printer sounds in the office. They are distinct sounds of each department. Fine. Now you come out of the factory, all outside its boundary wall. What do you hear? Only one sound, factory sound. In this sound are there all these sounds, isn't it true? Similarly, there are sounds here we may not be able to distinguish unless we concentrate on that chakra or when the chakra is awakened. Otherwise, these are there. Whatever sound you are hearing, it in that is these are there, these chakras. These sounds are there. So don't be discouraged that you are not hearing distinctly. At some point we will hear, but they are there, because as long as we are on the spiritual path doing good actions, then these things are always there, always there, the spiritual pursuits. Again, the layman reading these explanations may wonder what it is all about. But those conscientious seekers after the truth, those sadhaks who practice Raja Yoga techniques as explained and described by realized gurus like Lahiri Mahashaya or Paramahansa Yoganandaji as given in Yoga Satsanga lessons, when we practice, then we can watch from our experience that yes, these are heard. These are distinctly heard. They are not just theory, they can be heard. Another question here. Om, if it is omnipresent, if it's here, right now, all pervading, all the time, then why can't I hear in one of its manifestations? Why don't I hear? It's simple example I give is this, which establishes the need for regular meditation. See, right now here, all around me, radio news, TV songs. TV songs are there, songs coming from various channels of TV. News items, news is here coming from various FM radio, but I can't hear. Right here, but I can't hear because my ears have limited capacity. They hear frequencies ranging from 20 cycles per second to 20,000 cycles per second. 20 to 20,000. This is the range my physical ear can catch. Anything below or anything above, my ears cannot catch. And these news items and songs, they are put on a higher carrier and sent from the radio stations and TV stations. Various channels sent on different carriers. They are of very, very high frequency. I cannot catch. All that I need to do is get a radio receiver or a TV monitor, tune the radio to that particular frequency of that radio station. Then it catches that higher frequency carrier, and that signal is put through some electronics in this radio receiver. Out comes something which my ears can understand. Isn't it what's happening? If you select a different radio station, different item comes which I can hear. Similarly TV. So although they are here, I can't perceive. Similarly, Om vibration, cosmic Om vibration has very, very, very high frequencies, infinity. And these my ears cannot catch. But I have to tune my heart. When I tune my heart to that frequencies, then I can absorb. With the whole body I can absorb. That is what the techniques taught in Yoga Satsanga lessons, like Om technique, they do. They tune our body, they tune our heart to catch these higher frequencies of cosmic Om vibration. That's how we experience Om vibration. We cannot hear with physical ears. Meditation techniques are that important. Guruji wrote, in preparing the interpretation of the Holy Bhagavad Gita, my intent and prayer is to awaken new hearts and minds to the physical, mental and spiritual blessings available through right knowledge and application of the yoga science, and to encourage and hasten the progress of those devotees who are already steadfast on the yoga path. So, the Gita explanation as given by Guruji is for both veteran devotees practicing yoga as well as new people to awaken that interest. Now, let us briefly go through the ever deepening meditation successive stages, how we are going to be benefited. We know the worldly man whose attention is matter bound hears only the noises of the external world. All the time he hears the noise of the external world. But in the psychological and metaphysical battle between the sense mind and the soul bound discrimination, both the warring senses and the soul forces give rise to various vibrations in an effort to win the consciousness of the meditating devotee. So, once we start meditating, then soul forces also start sending their astral music, trying to receive our attention. That the war starts. During meditation, the devotee's attention first leaves the realm of physical sounds in the material world. What does it mean? When we are meditating, as we go little deeper, the physical sounds stop bothering us. It does not mean that we have become deaf. Even the sounds come, they come up to this, but they do not go in and receive our attention. We do not pay attention, they do not disturb us. Physical sounds will not disturb us. We are not deaf, they are there, but still they do not disturb us, they do not penetrate inside. Then the attention is caught by the various sounds resulting from the inner activities of the physical body, such as the circulation of the blood, the pumping of the heart, the restlessness of the breath. These vibrations become very audible and disturbing when man's attention is fully concentrated within. That is next step. First external sounds, and when we interiorize, then comes internal physiological sounds, heartbeat and blood circulation, other things. That is also there. We have to go a little deeper. We have to be persistent with our efforts, perseverance, efforts, go deep, spend little longer time in meditation. Then by deep meditation, the devotee goes beyond the inner physical sounds, and when he passes through the astral kingdom, he begins to hear the various vibratory sounds of the astral vital forces. Like these things: bumblebee, flute, veena, gong bell, ocean roar, and a mixture of all these things. These things happen then. Following these sounds, the devotee learns to locate the centers of life and consciousness. Following these sounds, you will be able to locate the centers of life and the centers in the spine, you will be able to locate. Locating the chakras, he in time actually sees them. This achievement ordinarily requires years of meditation under the guidance and blessing of an advanced guru. But it happens one day as we persevere day after day, when we keep meditating long enough, then we actually seize them, the centers. Next, finally, viewing the chakras and ascending his consciousness through them in various stages of samadhi, the yogi has solved the mystery of the body. He knows it as a manipulatable form of light vibration. That is the final stage. Now, we have seen that how the various stages of samadhi is felt: savitarka, samprajnata samadhi, savitarka, then savichara, then Sananda, Sasmita, then Sampragnata, then Savikalpa Samadhi, then Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Various stages one goes through it. One thing we should remember, it takes time to deepen the interiorization and experience these stages. But one thing is definite, as we are progressing, the Om vibration, hearing Om vibration means it's always in joy, in love. Along with comes the sense of love, expanding love, a sense of bliss. The joy is always there, ever deepening joy. That is always there. And even-mindedness in life is not just we hear the sound somewhere and go and get disturbed so easily in the world. No, that even-mindedness also comes. We cultivate all these spiritual qualities as we meditate. That is also important, not just listening, not just concentration, improving, etc. We have to, we'll manifest it in our daily lives. Now, we will take up the last sloka for today, that is sloka 19. I request Swami Vasudevanandaji to sing.
Saghosho dhatrurashtrana hridayani vyadarayata nabhascha prithvim chaiva tumulo vyanunadayana saghosho dhatrurashtrana hridayani vyadarayata navascha prithvim chaiva tumulo vyanunadayana.
The plain meaning is that tremendous sound reverberating throughout heaven and earth pierced the heart of the Dhritarashtra clan. As Panchapandavas and their supporters blew their conches, it produced such a mighty sound that disturbed Kauravas. Obviously, they felt alarmed. The soldiers of king material desire, Duryodhana, become much worried at seeing the devotee fast escaping the traps of the sense plane. Kauravas are frightened. Here, these sounds may be very melodious, the astral sounds coming from these various chakras. But for someone who is not interested in spiritual progress, they are disturbing. They are not interested in this. It's like this. Just as materially minded children delight in primitive rhythms of jazz and take no interest in great symphonies, so the senses love the noisy world of gross pleasures and are insensible to the soothing music of the astral world. I mean, if one is not spiritually inclined, he does not have that bent of mind for spirituality, then one is not interested in these things. They do not make any sense to him, He is very happy with what senses can offer. For example, tongue. It offers so much I can enjoy through my tongue. My food, my eyes, TV, ears, this, that. Whatever my senses can give, I am very happy. But this is beyond senses. The astral music is beyond senses. That one has to sit in meditation and interiorize, go to that pratyahara state. Then he experiences that. Not that he is going to hear with physical ears, he experiences. So it takes that spiritual inclination to enjoy. No, that is why those who meditate with interest, they are fortunate, because we are fortunate because we have the revelation. The greatest revelation for me in this life is that existence of inner joy. There is something like inner joy, and that can be contacted through meditation. But many people are not aware that there is something like inner joy which can be tapped. For their joy, they only depend on things outside. For me to be happy, I have to do this, I have to eat this, I have to go there, I have to hear this. But we know, you and I who meditate and who pursue spiritual activity, they know there is something inside, there is something, good activities, even service to others gives so much joy, not through senses, but through our whole being we feel the joy of serving others. It is, I will just give one example here. Now, how sometimes people waste their gifts, waste their life. One king invited his officers for a special function. When the function was going on, the king distributed very valuable clothes, robes to his noble officers. Officers were distributed one by one. The function was going on, then one of the officers had some trouble with nose, cough, he was coughing with nose, sneezing. Then instinctively he took this robe which he got as a gift from, very valuable gift, he took that and wiped his nose. The king saw it, he was upset. Then he exclaimed to his minister, "What? Such an expensive, valuable gift just now I gave him, and he used it to wipe his nose after sneezing? Isn't it misuse of it? Rather insulting the gift?" He felt so and he expressed that. Then the minister sitting next to him, a wise person, he said, "Rajan, I wonder what God is thinking about us. God has given human beings this very precious body. This body, only human body has the spine and chakras, medulla, sahasrara, kutastha, with very valuable with all these things. Raja, are we making of this? Or we are misusing this body? We are definitely misusing, no doubt about it, because we enjoy through senses. We are not invoking these chakras, which is meant for that higher use." I mean, that's what the wise minister told him, that this God may be thinking that when we are not using this body properly for spiritual pursuits, when it is equipped with all that is required, we have intelligence, we have the body with health, and we have to sit down and make use of it, some pursuits and activities also, spiritual activities. If we don't do that, it is as good as not making use of this special gift. A very good example here, this is a very good example. Paramahansa Yogananda ji, a realized Guru, he has given various meditation techniques for our spiritual development, and he has given his teachings in the form of lessons. In lesson number 8, meditation on God as Om, this gives a detailed technique of meditation, how to experience that Om vibration within. How do we experience that cosmic Om vibration? The procedure is given this. This is not something which we can share in a general talk meant for public like this, but those who are interested, they can enroll for these lessons, and step by step, one technique after another technique we can practice and actually experience all that we have discussed. This is not the only technique. Later we have the Kriya techniques, Kriya Yoga techniques. There also we have techniques to interiorize and to concentrate within and experience that various astral music notes that come from various chakras. All that is there, even in Kriya techniques we have. I mean, that's the role of that great Guru, to give humanity scientific techniques so that we can have direct personal experience of divinity within us. When we experience the divinity within, we will definitely experience divinity even without. I mean, that is the greatness of Paramahansa Yogananda ji. So, this closes our discussion of the significance of conch shells blown in Kurukshetra battle, that is outside, and the significance of the various sounds that we hear emanating from various chakras in the spine, medulla. Of course, there is also opposing sounds, vibratory sounds coming from other activities which are not spiritual. So, that tug of war is there, but as we become more and more spiritual in our activities and in our pursuits, definitely we experience this wondrous inner astral music, and we should be grateful to personalities like Paramahansa Yogananda ji for helping us with this knowledge. God bless us all.